Gaming is for friends.
I thought this music was so epic.
We all like talking about gaming.
The only thing that I disliked about the old game.
There are so many different conversations started by gaming.
Oh, I forgot I have you.
This could be anything.
Okay, walk in that green goo. Oh, nope. That's a no.
Anything Gaming Podcast. Hi, welcome to Anything Gaming. This is episode 17. We're getting through the podcast as per usual. We're going to talk about Xbox in a minute, but we'll start off with a bit of feedback, specifically Palworld feedback, because that got people interested. And yeah.
I just want to say
hi,
honestly,
hi to you too.
Yeah, hi. We got to address this first before we get through the introductions. And Woody, you guys know who we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say this. I do appreciate all the comments that we had. You know, some of them were a little heated, but overall, you know, I was very impressed and also happy to see that we have such a robust audience that will let us know when they think we're full of crap. I appreciate that.
No, it's true. And you know what I was actually really surprised about? So Palworld is maybe a month old, something like that. And they've got such loyal gamers, like people that like absolutely will defend this game to no end. And the game's only like literally 5 minutes old. Like it's not even like a year old kind of thing.
Of course, you know, like the new hotness always has that initial like surge of momentum that you see.
Yeah, that's true. So there was a lot of comments. There was some with the price point. They thought, oh, it's a 1 billion yen game, which is $6 million US. I played Palworld a bit on the weekend, and I can't see it being a $6 million game unless they've overpaid the developers. And I will go through and say that I actually found the game a little bit more fun than I was expecting it to be. Like when I was playing through Palworld, I didn't hate it as much as I probably hated it last week. Did you get a chance to play the game?
Yes, I did get a chance to play the game. Now, a couple things before I like dig in here. One, I played the game for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Start up to when it's really dark and I couldn't go anywhere outside my fire zone. Let's just say that. That's how far I got. Two, I wanted to go into the game really because I just saw the passionate responses we had. So I was like, oh wow, like that actually got me excited for the game. Because I was like, if people are that angry about this game must be something else. It must be incredible. And yeah, sorry, anything gaming podcast audience. I'm probably never going to play the game again. I did not enjoy it. I just didn't. I'm not a huge fan of craft. I'm not a huge fan of like over-reliance on crafting. I don't think here, like combining herbs and Resident Evil, fine. Like the deepest I'll go with crafting on a personal level is probably Fallout 4, and even that's a little egregious. I wasn't a huge fan of the crafting. I will say this though. I didn't get a big ripoff of Pokemon feel.
No.
So I gotta say that I did not get that. Oh, there were parts that ripped off Breath of the Wild. Well, more particularly Tears of the Kingdom because the crafting involved with that. And I mean, I could rip on it for ripping off Minecraft, but it seems like everything rips off Minecraft to one degree or another now. Like, once a game feature just becomes like its own kind of trope, then you can't really say it's... And no game there where you jump is ripping off Mario or Pitfall or anything like that.
No.
So I'll definitely won't lace into that hard, but real big, like the Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, even Immortals Phoenix Rising... like that kind of feel to it, which I guess is the regular way that a lot of these massive 3D third-person adventures are now. What was that Pokemon game that came out? it wasn't a main Pokemon game. It came out for the Switch. Atreus, I believe it was called.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Pokemon fan.
Neither am I. And that's another thing with Palworld. I figured that if I went into Palworld, like I know Pikachu, I know the 151. You know, that's where I stopped. I never really played any Pokemon games. The only Pokemon games I ever played were Snap, Stadium, and Smash Brothers when you play through as one of the Pokemon themselves. So that's all I got. So I figured I'd go into Palworld. Well, okay, I don't know that much about like the ins and outs of Pokemon, so I can see it kind of in a fresh way. I did end up catching a pal, one of the chickens. I caught one of the chickens. You know, like it looked like the fun. You follow that little checklist, like do this, do this, do this, and that's one thing I will commend Palworld on. It tells you exactly what you need to know. There's just a lot you need to know. I thought that for the record, Xbox Series X controller. I thought the menus were a little cumbersome.
Yeah,
you know, they weren't as intuitive because you had like you had to go to your technologies. You know, now you can build the campfire. Okay, now you actually have to go and build the campfire.
Yeah,
you know, just like step upon step. It brought it down for me.
Well,
you know,
and to go in with that part though, I would be like building something, and you have to hold down the A key or whatever it is to build it, and then once it's finished building, you have to go. I walk away, and I would think it would automatically go into my.
You have to pick it up.
Yeah, then you have to go back and pick it up. I'm like, why? Why is this a thing?
It's stuff like that. Yeah,
and I felt really awkward beating the chicken to death. I don't know why I was beating a chicken to death.
If I had to get a personal grade, like it's not going to get a failing grade for me because there are good things. The music was fine.
Yeah.
The graphics, why not Knockout, were bright and colorful, and I'd always rather play bright and colorful than dark and dreary, even if the game is awesome. It's just easier on my eyes. The creator character wasn't the best creator character I've ever used.
I hate creator character.
Yeah,
I want to just be given a character and then I can add some skins to it or whatever. But I hate creating a character. I just feel like that's their job. Like, make me a character. I want to love the character, not have to make my own version of character. Like,
yeah. But as I said, the thing that just brought it down for me was just it felt like a chore. You know, it felt like work. And I mean, once again, to anyone who loves that, awesome. That is great.
I could see the game being really fun with friends, and that's where the game I think excels. If you've got like a bunch of people and you're going online, I
got
think
a point there,
yeah, we're playing it solo. Like, it's solo. I don't think it's the greatest game, and that's a big point about it. I think if you're going to play Palworlds, you've got to have at least 3 friends.
No, but hey, at least now, because someone did comment that we didn't play it, and egg on my face, that was the truth. So I want to be like, all right, I'll give this a decent playthrough. I'll see how far I can get. And while I'm glad I played it, so now at least I know a little bit more about the game and what people see in it. I just don't really ever see me going back to the game.
No. Oh, maybe. I did have I found some glitches in the game too, because building games and stuff, you like to try and break games. That's part of the fun of building games. So I managed to get a chicken that I could run around and kick it as a soccer ball. So yeah, I don't know how I did it, but good glitch.
No, sweet. No, yeah, finding glitch is always the best.
So yeah, look, I get why people like the game. To summarize for me, I get why people like the game, and I get that it's actually kind of a fun kind of extension on the crafting survival genre. Like, it's kind of adding a more cute and casual vibe to the crafting genre and survival genre. Instead of being like an intense survival game, it's probably a bit more relaxing to some extent. So I can kind of get why it's taken off and kicked on, and people are liking the characters. To me, it's still an early access, and Xbox did announce somewhere, someone's going to tear me out, new one for this one, but Xbox did announce that they were going to help like promote the game. Build the game. They were going to help do some like add some devs or something to it. They were going to help somewhere financially or something to help make the game. And I'm wondering if that was to try and keep it off PlayStation, but we'll get into more Xbox stuff later on.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Anyway, what have you been playing this week that's not Palworld? Give me something that's...
I've still been on the gritty streets of Detroit trying to clean up crime and corruption as RoboCop. I've been playing a lot of RoboCop Rogue City. Now, I couldn't... first off, full disclosure, love the game. Love it. Having a blast with it. But it is one of those games where I could see people like nitpicking and seeing stuff that would be bad about the game that I can't really argue against. It is a little bit more repetitive and methodical than other first-person shooters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the enemies you fight, they're not like the most brilliant enemies, so it's almost like a shooting gallery. You know, like an on-rail shooter, you just happen to move around. Also, the graphics, while competent, you do expect better for PlayStation 5. I'm playing the PlayStation 5 version, by the way. It kind of looks like a early gen PS4 game.
Yeah.
Everything's got that nice like gleam to it that you've had since PS4. You know how light travels and reflections off certain surfaces. But once it goes to like character models and faces and talking, it looks last gen at that point. So that is a problem. But the story is engaging. The detective parts in the game that they use them sparingly, but they're used very well. Generally, if you're just a fan of 80s action, which, you know, I was baptized in practically, you're going to find a lot to love about this game.
Yeah, okay. Well, I watched Terminator 2 on the weekend, so, I mean, that's kind of got the same vibe, but...
RoboCop versus Terminator. I mean, it was a popular comic back in the day.
Yes.
My favorite... Not my favorite Genesis game, but one I still throw in now and then to play, because it's just a good 2D shooter. But yeah, if you just like that kind of dumb, you know, shoot 'em up fun, you can't go wrong with RoboCop. And very catchy soundtrack as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I played 3 games this week, so it's been a bit different for me. Yeah. Judgment. Have you heard of that game? It's a game that no one really kind of celebrates as being a masterpiece, but it's such a good game. And there was actually a sequel to the game, so I'm interested in playing through that as well.
What kind of game is it? Like, how does it play?
Okay, so going into it, I thought it was going to be like you just run around Tokyo and, you know, kick people in the face. You know, that kind of game. That's the kind of vibe it gives out, but it's got the craziest amount of story that I've ever had in a game, and it's all voice acted as well. And did you ever play L.A. Noire?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So imagine someone's got that game, set it in Tokyo, and then added some. Instead of having guns in that, you're playing Tekken at the same time. You got Tekken fight scenes.
Yeah, that's intriguing. I loved L.A. Noire.
Yeah, me too. And so this is the closest thing I've ever played to something like L.A. Noire. And yeah, it's you're going around, you're solving mysteries, but they're probably a bit more in depth than probably L.A. Noire. That game was it was a bit more Grand Theft Auto with a bit more detective. This has got way more complex detective work involved in it. And yeah, and the stories are really, really good. Like I've only played through, I think there's 12 chapters or something, and each is a different murder investigation. And I've only played like part way, or probably 3/4 of the way through the first investigation. I think I'm coming towards the end of that, but it's really, really good. Highly recommend giving it a go. And like I said, there's a sequel, so it must have a fan base somewhere. I've just never heard people talk about it being a great game, but yeah.
No, especially It's like I still love Alienware. I love that whole concept of like, finding clues and like questioning people. It was great. I almost wish that there was a sequel to that. So if Judgment is a lot like this, then yeah, I'll definitely scope it up.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot like that. But it's like you'll get like a scene and then you'll kind of investigate the scene to see what bits are like out of place, and then you'll go and question people and you ask them. But then you get in these crazy Tekken battles where you get blue flares and lights and stuff coming out of your legs, and you're like, it's just everything you want in a game. It's crazy. So
Good.
yeah, so that was one, and then I had two disappointing games that I was not so impressed with. One being, I played through the Silent Hill short story epilogue.
I downloaded that. I haven't played it yet.
Okay.
Disappointing.
I was disappointed. Its frame rate is really terrible on the PlayStation. Like, as far as I know, I don't think it's on PC. I think it's only a PlayStation exclusive, and it runs at probably 25 FPS or something. Most of the complex scenes.
Is it like supposed to look like that because it's Silent Hill, creepy, or is it just bad performance?
I think it's just terribly made, to be honest. Like, and then you spend half your time in your phone. Like, you get a message on your mobile phone and you're reading through messages on your mobile phone, and it's just yeah. And I don't really like the context of the story either. Like, it's about suicide and stuff, and that's not really for me. I'm kind of into more happier vibes in life. So yeah, it's pretty dark. I mean, it's probably not. I don't know how you can make a short game like that scary. It does get scarier towards the end, and it does build in nicely to a scary part. But I mean, yeah, it's probably a bit more. It's definitely not what I was expecting from the game. I was probably expecting more traditional Silent Hill, and it's definitely not that. So I don't know. It's up to you. You watch it, you play, and then you'll have to report back. I mean, I'm sure we'll get a million bad comments about.
I played Silent Hills 1 through 4. Like those are my bread and butter. In order, 2, 1, 4, 3.
Yeah,
That's right. They're all good. I've never played any of the ones out. I didn't play Downpour. I didn't play Homecoming. I didn't play Silent something or other. But yeah, those were always really good. So I'm still looking forward to this. I want to see what's got going on.
yeah. I want to hear your take because I've never played all. Like I said, I only really broke my horror phobia like during the off period there. So I'm only just getting back into these or getting into horror games. So I'm probably not the best judge of this one to start with. You being a Silent Hill fan, yeah, your input might be more valuable. And Foam Stars, I played through that last night, and I've got to say,
Yeah.
I got to say, I almost think they took the pals from Palworld and put them into Foam Stars, and I don't know if that's what caused me to have this instant dislike towards the game, but that's basically the enemy is these floating Palworld characters, which are Pokemon ripoffs coming at you, and you've just got to throw foam on them, and that's kind of the game. And it doesn't seem fast enough or as fun as it could be. Like I don't know if you can get different color foams or anything like that. I haven't got that far. I don't know. It's like they had like an idea for a game and they got building it and they thought, this is actually not that great. Let's just give it away for free on the PlayStation thing and be done with it, because I don't think anyone's actually going to buy this.
Did you ever play Splatoon by any chance?
I did. I don't think it's like Splatoon. It's nowhere near fast like that.
That was my main question. Like, is it because like the way it sounded like they were taking stuff from Splatoon, but I just didn't know. But
Basically, basically the game centers around you've got a portal that these things that don't even animate just move across the screen and try and go into this portal, and you've got to blow foam at them to stop them getting there. It's like more of a tower defense type thing, but there's no towers. There's just you in this foam surfboard.
Well,
okay. Hey. So you've got some homework this week.
It was on the PlayStation. Like, yeah, that's how you played it.
Yeah.
Right, so
it's free on. It's a free monthly game. If you want to check it out on PlayStation this week. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I love the characters and the actual character you play. I love her. She was really cool. She's like dancing in tune with the music when she stops. The guns are pretty fun, but just you see, you get this surfboard that you can only kind of move around fast if you're touching foam. As soon as you go off the foam, you instantly slow down. So the speed of the game kind of doesn't work out as well as you would hope. Like in Splatoon, correct me if I'm wrong, that one there you can move around quite fast throughout the game.
Yeah, Splatoon's quite fast paced.
Yeah,
you keep moving.
I was thinking like almost like the game would have mechanics similar to that of what's the Xbox Sunset Overdrive, where you going on the rails and stuff that you could speed up to get around the levels and stuff like that. But I haven't seen anything of that like at the moment. So
I am just reminded I did actually play 2 new video games recently. Well, this one isn't exactly new, but I just picked it up on the Xbox. Sonic Superstars.
Yeah.
The new Sonic game. Not bad. I'll say this. It's the best 3D, 2D Sonic game I've played. I don't know if that even tries to make sense, but it's the only way I can describe it. It still feels like Genesis, because that was the problem with Sonic Generations and Sonic 4, that even though they were 2D, 2D plane, they didn't feel like Sonic, like the way 1, 2, 3 CD did. This one got it well, so I gotta say I am enjoying that. I haven't really played through. Definitely not playing as much of that as I did Wonder, but it's still pretty good. Another game I tried. Honestly, it wasn't horrible for the type of game it was the Finals.
Yeah.
I'm not a team deathmatch shooter kind of guy, at least not anymore. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't help but appreciate the fact that like the levels could just get destroyed like that. I thought that was really. It brought me back to my Red Faction days, and I would play that game and I would seriously just like blow into walls and buildings just to destroy everything. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Battlefield did that in one of the Battlefields was really good for that too, wasn't it?
One of the Battlefields did it. If someone could correct me on that, that's fine. But I think Halo, maybe not completely destroyable environments, but I think further down, like you could start destroying some stuff. I know it just makes sense. Like in Call of Duty, if you're like near a building and you're just like dumping bullets into the building, walls should start falling down. Just like life.
Yeah, but it kind of makes it bad for like you could kind of really destroy teams if you start doing that too much. That's the only kind of disadvantage, because then you could make sight lines. And you could make it, I prefer not destructive as much because it makes it...
it kind of changed the battlefield a little too much in real time, then you gotta kind of move. No, I get that. But, Finals, it was all right. I might try it again.
Yeah, I might give it another... I've only played it for about a minute or two. Like, I think I had one match, and then that was it. Like, it wasn't...
I learned how to use the grappling hook. Some people grappling hooking... stuff. Okay. Like, I don't know how to do this. I was playing on the PC for that one, so a lot of buttons on the keyboard.
So that was all of what we're playing now. Where are we with this? Microsoft, if anyone hasn't heard, Microsoft has come out with some big information. There's a lot of circling and innuendo. It's not all crystal clear at the moment, but basically there's a lot of talk going around that Microsoft is going to start releasing Starfield, Indiana Jones, first-person titles to PlayStation. And I mean, there was even a GameStop ad that just came out not long ago that basically had Microsoft Game Pass on it instead of Xbox Game Pass. So they're going to do a big thing where they talk about the future of Xbox, Microsoft, and what it all means. But what have you heard about this? What do you know?
I
what's your
honestly
thoughts?
don't know just as much as anyone else. For the record, it's the whole shebang's supposed to go down tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here in the States, that'd be Thursday. And not necessarily pins and needles. I mean, smart money, like the general vibe, or at the very least, the common thread, what Vegas would be on right now, is that Microsoft is like straight out getting out of the hardware business in general and just lending out their service to Sony with their Game Pass. They've already laid off a whole bunch of people on their physical media market front, which is kind of a harbinger of things to come, perhaps. I don't want to see that happen. I enjoy, like, between the Series X and the PS5, I play my PS5 way more. It's just as simple as that. But I still like and respect the Xbox. It's still a player. It's still something that shaped me as a gamer. I felt bad when Sega left the physical market. I felt bad, that there's no Television 2 or anything like that. I'm always a fan of more, because that gives you more options, and more options breeds more competition, and more competitions mean better product. So to see Microsoft potentially fall from that, I can't say I'm cheering it on. I'm sure some people are. There are people who have serious, admittedly deserved reservations against Microsoft, as much as people have reservations against Sony or Nintendo. But what do you think? Do you think the worst is going to happen, or do you think it just might be kind of like a red herring kind of thing, where they're just like, oh yeah, Gears of War 6, maybe, or some type of that announcement?
Well, I mean, there's also been reports that Xbox has got a lot of dev kits put to their, so they bought of them so they can go and start porting stuff to PlayStation. PlayStation dev kits. I don't know if I said that correctly. So my thoughts on this kind of started back a fair while ago, where I was thinking, if we don't have, remember last week, it might have fallen in as much because we were talking about Palworld a fair bit, but we were talking about the physical discs, having a physical disc, having a physical cartridge, and how nostalgic that was and all that stuff. And I said to you along the lines of, hey, but if there isn't a physical thing, if everything's downloadable, what purpose does an Xbox have? What purpose does a PlayStation have? There's no real purpose in my mind, like, because if I can just buy whatever device I feel fit, and I can just download that content. It's like Netflix. Does Netflix bring out a special Netflix player so that you can play your movies on your TV? No, they don't.
To be fair, though, I don't think Sony has the same enthusiasm get rid of the physical market as much as Microsoft does. They've never really. They do have premium, and the PlayStation Plus Premium is great. I don't think it's as at least as far as like the modern games, it's not. I don't think it's as good. If you include the PS1, 2, and 3 games, it's far better than Game Pass. But I don't think it really stacks up to Game Pass as well. So I don't see like Sony putting all their eggs into that basket. Plus, a lot of people forget that when Xbox One was originally announced, they had what was it? It was going to be like when you bought the game new, it would recognize that game, and that'd be the only game they could use. If you want to let someone borrow it, they have to wait. It was like the stupidest rule, to the point where Sony made fun of them and says, "This is how you let people borrow games. Here you go," and then they took it. So, and even going back further than that, Sony's always been a proponent of physical media. Anything, I mean, beta, for Christ's sake, it failed. If it's still physical media, I mean, no choice, because it was pre-internet days. But they've been making hardware, for a long time. I want to say longer than Microsoft, actually. Microsoft's always more of a software kind of company in the beginning. So I don't think Sony is going to really get rid of it, or at least not yet. They might be, along with Nintendo, the holdouts. You know what I mean? I would actually see Nintendo go in complete digital before Sony would.
I could see that happening also. But, I mean, the numbers, I've also got to give you a key indicator. Sorry. You've got PlayStation that has something like they've sold double as many consoles as Xbox. PlayStation that owns 70% of the market opposed to Xbox. I mean, this is when was the first Xbox released?
First Xbox was released in 2002.
So we're talking about something. They've been doing this for 20 years now, and they can't even get a 50% market share.
Well, you got to think of the bigger picture. I can't speak for Australia, but here in the States, Xbox is a force. People have Xboxes. I know people that have Xboxes. In Japan, who has an Xbox?
No.
You know what I mean? I can't speak for other markets, but I do know in Japan, which is a big player for the gaming markets. I mean, that's the birthplace of Sony and Nintendo. And Microsoft has never, ever been able to even get, the most basic of footholds in Japan.
No.
And that's a big chunk of the market that they're losing out on.
Yeah, that's where the market kind of starts half the time.
Right.
I mean, it's a market trendsetter for most of these type of games. So I think it makes some kind of sense not to make it the other part of it is PlayStation, Xbox. As far as I know, they never make money on their consoles. They basically give what you pay for the console. They sometimes even go away from a loss on that console. So they were always banking on to lock you into their brand and to lock you into their games and to keep you in their system. But if you could then change the narrative and you make it so you can play your Xbox on your PC, you can play your Xbox on your PlayStation, or on even your Nintendo. I mean, that's interesting, because why would you need an Xbox then?
Oh, and that's the rub, isn't it? I mean, depending on how they're gonna announce this, if they announce that they're just going physicals, I mean, geez, just go ahead and drive to your local Walmart or Target, because they will give you an Xbox. They're going to be worth nothing. Initially, they'll be worth nothing. I could see down the road maybe being a bit of a collector's item, like I got one of the Xboxes, ooh. But yeah, the value of that's just going to tank hard. It's going to tank, Etch-a-Sketches will be held in higher regard than the Xbox Series, any of them, if that happens. And Microsoft knows they still got a lot of hardware out there. There's still Xbox Series S's, Xbox Series S's, and even the revamped Xbox Series S that's supposed to be coming down the road. And keep that. That's coming too. Tomorrow's announcement could just simply be about that. Just be like, now we got this digital. And you said it yourself. If you're only going to be digital, then what's the point? So if they do go only digital, not only do I not see them going to PlayStation or Nintendo, I actually wouldn't be shocked if they at least curb their PC and their mobile intentions to try to put focus back on the console, if that's the direction they desire to go.
Well, I talked about how Sony has the biggest market share in the consoles there. Oh, well, Nintendo we're talking about Xbox and Nintendo.
Yeah,
we're not talking about Nintendo.
I figure we're on the same wavelength that we're kind of thinking of Nintendo as their own entity because of the portability and the fact that it's not as powerful a console. So it's mainly just Xbox, Sony are the players here.
Okay, so Xbox versus PlayStation. PlayStation's killing Xbox. But then if you go to the PC, what does almost every PC run?
Well, it's not running Linux. Mine isn't, at least. It's running Windows 11.
Yeah, Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows XP, whatever it is. So how many of these devices do they have in people's homes that can play Xbox games? Maybe they're just going, you know what, we've been doing this all wrong. Maybe instead of taking on Sony, let's take on Steam. You know, that would make more sense. They've got the biggest market share of all computer systems. If they really put their emphasis into PCs,
don't forget too, Steam does have some competition right now. They got Epic Games, the Epic Games Store. You know, that's a legitimate place to get your games. GOG, but even though that's older, it's still a viable market. EA Origin, that's another place where you can pick up games. So Steam's definitely top dog in the kennel. But if Microsoft were to really, and I wouldn't be shocked if Game Pass itself, like I got Game Pass on my PC. I have Game Pass games. That's how I play Halo. That's how I play Minecraft. So if they went, I would say they definitely would have a better chance of going after Steam than Sony because it's their playing field. They know computers. That's their zone. That's what they know most of all. Sony, on the other hand, I mean, as you said it yourself, they don't own. They are the market.
There's the interesting part about all this is, does Sony allow Game Pass onto PlayStation?
Would Sony allow it?
Would they?
I mean, it seems kind of like, you know, paying Peter to pay Paul. I don't know the analogy for it, but it does seem a little weird putting someone else's service on your console where you yourself have a service that's similar to that service. At the very least, they would be on a leash. It'd be like, okay, PlayStation Plus, super duper premium. Where you get all this stuff. And now
PlayStation Plus with Xbox Game Pass. Oh my goodness!
I'll be there with my debit card, waving in the air.
Yeah. Well, that would be really weird to see, wouldn't it?
It would. I'm excited, but I don't want to see another console go away.
Well,
I have a soft spot for all my hardware.
Sony just did. Xbox. I'm getting confused today. Xbox just did sign that major 10-year agreement with Nintendo as well. Don't forget. Not long back.
And that's one of those rare, like it's one of those agreements that helps everyone. Because Nintendo and Xbox are just not in a competition with each other. They're practically different entities of like completely, you know, different target audience, different this, different that. So them combining forces just only makes sense. Yeah, and in fact, I'm shocked Sony. Well, Sony might still feel a little burned about what happened in the mid-90s. Maybe that's why they don't want to go back to Nintendo. But it seems to be a beautiful, you know, relationship for Microsoft and Nintendo for right now. Let's see if Microsoft maybe wants to make a relationship with Sony.
Oh, well, I think it's going to be a really fun announcements anyway, see what happens. Because, and if they announce that they're not making the Indiana Jones game, I'm coming over there to like whack somebody, like, because that is pretty much, I'm pumped for that game. That game looks so good. I
enjoyed the Indiana Jones game for the original Xbox. I really wish, I'm actually remembering the name, and they were also the people that made the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game, which also really wasn't that bad, believe it or not. Just a real fun 3D adventure kind of game. Not like Uncharted at all. Not like Tomb Raider. It wasn't that fun, but it was decent. And I'm definitely looking forward to another Indiana Jones adventure. But although I would rather see a new Tomb Raider or Uncharted.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I know those more through video games than indie.
I know, but I mean, I think that's why I'm waiting for Indiana Jones, because they're not making Tomb Raiders and Uncharted. They're just not making them at the moment.
Yeah.
They've hinted. I read something a while back about Naughty Dog hinting at making like a different version of Uncharted, like a different character or something like that, like remaking it or re-envisioning it. I suppose there's only so many crazy places that you can visit, like so many crazy caves, or what are they going to do next in the story?
Yeah.
Because
Well, I mean, before the reboot, there were like 5 Tomb Raiders.
Yeah, and they kind of, they could only, hey, let's go over to here, and then we'll do this bit and this bit, and then and the next one they're like, oh, we went there in the last couple of Tomb Raiders. Maybe we'll go. I don't actually. Has there been has Tomb Raider ever gone to Australia? We need like an Australian version, and never Uncharted. They always go to the Brazilian rainforest, you know, somewhere in Italy, like in the sewers or something. And you know, like or France, like in those like really regal old buildings, but they never go like outback Australia Tomb Raider. That's what we need.
Oh, yeah. You've made this point before, and Australia is severely underrepresented in video games.
Yeah,
I mean, Mad Max, Tony Hawk. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. Those are the only. And honestly, I forget which which Tony Hawk game had the Australian level. It was a fun level. But it's off the top of my head. I want to say 3.
but what about that kangaroo game, the KO the Kangaroo or something like that, where he goes around punching people? And there was a Tassie Tiger game too. Like, there's another couple that, like,
horribly stereotypical as well.
Yeah, they like. I just like want that mild kind of integration.
Yeah,
not like
an Australian dude walking around. What?
yeah. You know, here's a nice beach. Oh, you must be in Australia, you know?
Right. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd play it.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So,
But
yeah.
you need to make it. You still need to make it just a little stereotypical. So make sure he gets like a boomerang weapon. You know, just for authenticity's sake. You know, we got to sell the game.
There was a boomerang game actually too.
Boomerang's great. It's a great weapon in Mario Kart.
Yeah. Well, it's good because it comes back, so you don't have to reload. You just have to
come
watch.
back. It's a stick.
Yeah. Back to Xbox. One thing I hope that doesn't disappear, and I suppose Sega has brought this back over the years as well, is the controller. Like, we can't lose the controller. If you're going to just go to PC only, just always bring out a new Xbox controller. That's what I would say.
Well, I mean, I think even today, if you were to take a PlayStation 5 controller, an Xbox Series X controller, a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, you know, and you feel each one, it's got its differences. It might be a little heavier, you know, maybe the rumble's a little stronger. But for the most part, they follow the same layout. You know, the 4 shoulder buttons, 4 face buttons, 2 sticks, a D-pad, a button signifying a start, a button signifying a select, and some type of home button. Some might have more flourishes. You know, PlayStation's got the touch screen there, and of course the haptic feedback.
Yeah.
But pretty much that's your basic controller now. That's the controller that's used.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'd like an Xbox controller to still stay around. If we're gonna lose the console, just let me have a controller still. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I'm really kind of waiting on that news tomorrow because I think it will be pretty interesting to see where it all goes. It's going to be.
I'm hoping for good. I always hope for good things in situations like that.
I fear the worst. I fear the worst.
Like, I know there's a lot of Xbox fanboys out there, and they have every reason to be fanboys. They enjoy their console, and I don't want to see them, you know, lose out on something. That would suck. Yeah, like on a personal level, that would suck. So, all I can say is, optimistically, I'm just thinking it's just going to be a bunch of news about the new Series S, the Series S that actually has some horsepower to it, and that'll be that.
Oh, I did okay, so I remember back about 5 years ago, and this is a really interesting thing that Phil Spencer said something along the lines of, if we can't get it was a stupid number of people subscribing to Game Pass via the Xbox, then Game Pass will have to go to a cloud service. There was a stupid number that they had to hit. And last time I checked, they were like 30% of that number. That was the break-even point for to make it actually go viable.
No, yeah.
So I'm fearing the worst.
Yeah, no, it's not looking good. All I can say is, to everyone out there right now, take a look at whatever Xbox you might have plugged into your wall. Give it one more. Okay, give it one more. Yeah. You hear me over there?
Oh well, so that's pretty fun. Well, not really fun, but yeah, interesting to see where we all go with that stuff. Anything else interesting coming in this week, or where are we up to?
I would like to touch on, since our audience isn't too afraid to, leave feedback if you guys want to add something to this. I've been hearing mixed reviews about Suicide Squad. Actually, it's not fair to say I've been hearing mixed reviews. It's pretty much been the same review.
Shit reviews. That's all I've...
Yeah.
I'm scared to buy it.
People like the story. They like the characters. But like with most live service games, boring. I just hear it's like super repetitive. I haven't played the game yet, and I generally just don't like live service games. I don't like commitments. I got enough going on in my life. I don't need to commit to something like that. I want something where I can unplug it and just like go away for a bit. So because of that, I'm really hesitant to touch it. But I would like to know if anyone else is enjoying it, because currently I only know one person that actually got the game and played it. Batman fanatic. I work with him. He's not a fan. He doesn't like it.
I didn't like the one before that with the Gotham Knights.
Arkham Knight?
Yeah. And I thought that they were going to go down that path of trying to get it to a 4-player kind of game, because that's the developer dream. If you're
thinking of Gotham Knights, I'm sorry.
Gotham Knights. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It was really repetitive in that too. But what they want to do, what the idea is, say, if you're selling a game, right? Say I buy Suicide Squad. Then I say, oh, this game's actually pretty good. Hey, Woody, go out and buy this game so you can play it with me. And then it sells itself. It like just continues to sell multiple copies, because you have a copy, I have a copy, we play together, and then you tell your friend, I tell my other friend, and then all of a sudden we've got 4 people, and then they tell their friends, and then all of a sudden you don't even need to advertise the game, because you've got everyone just telling everyone to buy a copy. So if you can get like a game like that kind of makes someone tell someone else that it's good, but that's the problem. If it doesn't, if you don't get it worked right, if you don't make it good, then you're not going to do that ultimate thing, and you'll be like $12 in the bargain bin at GameStop in no time. So
I mean, word of mouth is the lifeblood. Look at Palworld. Palworld's strictly word of mouth. There wasn't a big advertisement campaign for Palworld or anything like that. It was strictly other people talking about it.
Yeah,
that's how I found out about it. So, and Suicide Squad itself, it is a AAA game. Warner Brothers is behind it, dumping money into it. And there's been plenty of marketing for the game as well. But even the marketing for the game has felt a little subdued, almost like they don't really have that much faith in the product. And if they're not going to have faith in their product, why should we?
Oh, I haven't seen hardly any advertisement about it or anything. I saw it when it first got announced. It was hyped to the hills. Like everyone was like pumped about it.
Yeah, I saw a Facebook ad.
Yeah,
That was
years ago, and it was like really, really popular, but now nothing.
No, it's a shame because like I love the Arkham series. So
Mm.
you know, here Rocksteady making a new game. For the record, I've never been impressed with cool anti-heroes. I think they're exhausting. 20-year-old me, 100%. I was that asshole that loved other assholes. You get older, you get a little bit more mellow, and now I just want the person in the cape to beat up the bad guy and save
Well,
the kid.
it
Like
it
really,
al- it also comes down to the fact that a lot of and Sony's really got onto this. Xbox has missed this a little bit. They're still trying this multiplayer, but PlayStation identifies that a lot of players love a single player game. They just want to sit down and play that game for whatever it takes to get through, and that's what a lot of gamers like. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, this is a guess, but 50% of the market that like online games, and the other 50% that like just playing a game from start to finish, enjoying the story, enjoying the characters, not having to log into their friends, trying to coordinate when everyone's online or whatever, think like that, especially like as you get a bit older, you definitely don't have time. Like we were just talking about it before, how it's hard to line up when your friends are going to be online to play. Yeah, we've all got our commitments now,
right. I mean, generally, multiplayer was a hell of a lot better to achieve when I was a kid than it is now. I mean, school. We're not in school right now. Get online. You're not at your job. But now with everyone's got jobs, everyone got wives or husbands or children or grandchildren, and all that. And how are you supposed to juggle all that and also coordinate a live service game with constant updates with 3 other people that can also be there all the time? I'm sure there are people that can do it. Sure, not enough to sustain it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that they probably haven't worked out yet is, well, PlayStation obviously has. The people that go and buy the expensive games are the people that have got a job and kids and families or whatever. The older guys that are like in their 30s or whatever, and they've got money to burn on games, but they don't want to burn it on a game that they have to play online. So that's where I think some of these games are falling apart. So if you can capture like the kids that want to play it, yeah, they might go ahead and get a couple of their mates together, but they're more likely to go for something like Palworld that is only $20 or something like that they can afford, not a AAA title like Suicide Squad, which is just unreachable for most kids these days.
Yeah, no, and all I can say is I hope whoever is having a fun time, who was able to actually ilk out a fun time with Suicide Squad, is having a fun time with that. And I hope it lasts somewhat long because, as far as I can see, I think it's going to go the way of the Avengers. Just, oh well, should have made it like Guardians of the Galaxy, single player, keep it focused. That's what people want in that situation.
Well, I'm going to leave you on with a thought for today.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was talking about Resident Evil. I played through number 2, then I went and bought number 3. And then, so I'm going through all these games, these older games. They're not old. They're like a couple of years old max type thing. Anyway, today I saw that Game Pass is going to have Resident Evil 3 on it. And then I immediately got upset that I just purchased this game. Like, is this the new buyer's remorse where you need like a guarantee that it's not going to go to Game Pass or PlayStation Extra?
Not at all. You know why? Because you helped restore video game, record. All right. You're keeping the physical media alive.
No. I bought it on digitally.
Oh, you bought it digitally anyway?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I feel bad. I got burned.
You Might as well just lit that money on fire, my friend.
No, I didn't buy. I couldn't find it a physical copy of it. I could only find it digitally, and then I was like, "Oh man!"
Ant.
So
What
now
did we learn?
now I'm like really worried about buying anything digitally if it's going to come to one of these streaming services, and I'm going to just like, why did I buy that digitally when I could have just waited for it to come? Like, it just drives me crazy.
Moments on this show. Well, sorry, man. Hey, look, the best thing I can tell you though is at least you have a record of it, and it might not stay on Game Pass for that long either. So at least you know that when it does leave, boom, you can still have it.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of guy that goes and plays games again. I don't have that much time. I've got money to burn, not time to burn. So, so yeah, that's the problem. But yeah, I've just, and I mean, the other problem is like, for example, any game that goes on Game Pass or PlayStation, they all like the subscription. If you go into your game shop, they're like $10 now. No one wants them anymore. They're like basically games that games have done. Horizon Zero Dawn, like fantastic game. But I could go and buy that for $10 now. Like it's not even worth worrying about that particular game anymore. Like it's like all these good games that were worth something. Like games are losing their value now because of subscription services. Like very fast.
Well, we're gonna see what the next chapter in that is. Maybe
tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
TikTok.
Yeah. You got anything else, or we done for the day?
I think we'll have goals for next week. How about I'll say that?
Oh, yes.
Definitely, I do want to try that Foam Stars. I'm interested now.
Mm-hmm. I want to do Silent Hill too.
Yeah, I also gotta do Silent Hill. Maybe.
Yeah.
That'll be. I'm positive about that. I think it's gonna be all right. I do want to wrap up RoboCop. I'm probably gonna play it actually right after the end of this, and that's pretty much it. I'm actually kind of happy. I actually got like a set game right now. I've been kind of wandering a bit. I'm actually cleaning up Half-Life 2. I'm finishing that up right now. Check out my YouTube channel, everybody. And yeah, after RoboCop, I kind of want to dive back into Baldur's Gate 3. I want to love this game. This is a game I actually want to love, and I don't love it just yet, but I want to love it, and I want to play it, I want to learn to love it.
Well, it was the most highest rated game of last year or something, so you need to love it.
Right, yeah, it's against the law for me now to not love it, so that's what I got for next week, and thank you for asking.
Oh, quick question though. So I'm playing a game like RoboCop, and you said it was a bit repetitive, and you kind of get to this point in this game, right, where you're 3/4 of the way through, maybe 90% of the way through, but you just want to finish it now, even though you're done with the game, now. But are you at that point of the game?
No.
I'm
still enjoying it. Like it hasn't hit yet.
Have you had games like that before, where you've just you've forced yourself to play the last 10% of a game because you're just like, I just want to see what happens, because you're not that guy.
The thing that sucks is too, they're not necessarily bad games. They just become short. Here's a good example: The Evil Within. Not a terrible game, not by any means. Not as good as Resident Evil or Dead Space or, Cold Fear or anything like that. But still a decent game. But towards the middle, I was just like, all right. Like, now I just want to finish this up and get on with my life.
I just want to know what happens at the end.
That's the worst part. I still don't know what happens. They're all hooked up to a machine or something. It's weird. It's just weird. I should probably play the second one just so I can get a better picture of what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, no. Some games like Agents of Mayhem, when I played that, I still am mad at myself for actually completing that game. I should have never even bothered with that. Oh, that was the game that convinced me that like looter shooters, loot box, anything involving loot boxes was the devil. You know, because it was just so horrible, so repetitive. You work your ass off for nothing, kind of games. You know, without a set like prize at the end. It was ugh.
Yeah.
I say it now and I get a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, should we say that we're 90% through the show and just end it like this, and people will be like hanging on for next week, or should we be honest?
Well, no, I definitely want to see. I hope no one's super mad about my opinions on
Power.
friggin' Evil Within or something. You know,
Just write a comment.
Write
Write a comment and tell him how much. Okay,
How
so
much?
this show is about 90% through. We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.